Hey, today we've got a few responses from Arrowhead's CEO about the next patch. He talked about how they're working on 2 patches. He confirmed in the next update there will be balance changes, audio bugs will be resolved, and not only that, there's so much more to discuss. If you've enjoyed my content before, consider giving this video a thumbs up and tapping the hype button. With that said, let's jump right in. Let's go ahead and go over CEO Shams Georgiani's response to players asking about the next patch. The first question is exactly that, and Shams revealed that everyone in the studio is working hard to get the mid-October patch out and get the next one in order. So yeah, wow, it seems that they're finishing up the first patch and then we'll be working on the next one right after, which makes sense given that it's a live service game, but what will the next patch be about? Are they going to continue improving performance and patching some of the major bugs, that they couldn't resolve in this month's patch? Or are they going to go back to creating content? Either way, hopefully they'll be able to resolve a large portion of those major bugs. Okay, next up, Shams replied to a question asking if they could reveal a rough date for when the patch is going to be released. Shams replied yesterday, stating that they'd rather get it right than release it super fast, which could potentially break something. He also acknowledged that they've got problems with quality and are trying to figure out how to do it properly. This most likely has to do with ensuring that, the QA team goes through the patch and sweeps out as many bugs as possible. I know there have been concerns from the community about, how the QA team doesn't test much, and, we'll see what happens in this upcoming patch. Continuing on, he revealed in a separate post that they're working super hard to get this patch out as soon as possible, and that they're doing more testing than they ever have before. He even spoke about how they're plugging a ton of leaky holes. On top of that, a Helldiver asked what percentage of technical problems the CEO would say they're targeting for this patch versus future patches. Shams responded by saying, "It's really hard to say, and it doesn't work like that quite. We're targeting the issues that you feel the most pain from. Performance, freezing, stability, then a bunch of other annoying bugs. Alongside game balance and fixes, meaningful file size reduction is being worked on to get the performance to a much better state will take longer." So again, we hear, the same thing as usual. We hear that it's going to take longer for performance to get better, which is no surprise. We already knew about it. However, the rest of this response is interesting. Speaking of bugs, Shams talked about how the developer servers are the same, and that whenever they're able to reproduce a crash bug, they'll be able to fix it. However, the problem is when a crash bug pops up that's completely random and it can't be reproduced, that's when they have trouble figuring it out. Apparently some of the crashes only occur on certain hardware for players. I'm assuming that's on PC only. With that being said, what's going to happen when we get closer to the patch release date? Well, they're going to try to get a blog post released first, then they'll drop the patch. However, we don't know if they're going to drop it around the same time, considering Shams Georgiani spoke on the situation by saying we'll see if they drop roughly at the same time. He also doubled down on the whole thing by responding to another Helldiver, basically talking about how they posted a blog post a couple of weeks ago, then an interview video, and how they're going to release a blog post soon, then a patch video. They're apparently stepping up their game. On top of that, or on that note of stepping up their game, a Helldiver wanted to ask if Arrowhead's CEO could reveal what's going on with the audio fix. Arrowhead's CEO replied to say that in the next patch, they're going to have several audio fixes, and he explained where things went wrong with the audio because during the summer, they received an audio update for Helldivers 2 that ultimately messed up a few things in general with the audio. Now, I do recall seeing a post from him in the past where he talked about how Wise Audio had received an update and things went completely south after that. Anyway, besides audio fixes, Arrowhead's CEO revealed more news about the next patch. A Helldiver asked about the balancing patch and if it's coming next week. Shams stated that in the next update, there will be a bunch of balancing that he believes we'll appreciate, and they have a video coming up on that. I'm guessing that he's talking about the patch video that they're working on. Nevertheless, I think it's going to be exciting to see what happens with the next patch. Now, I've actually talked about it in the past, you know, the patch in general, how I'm skeptical about stuff, but I'm also certainly looking forward to trying out everything and letting you know if the patch is good or bad. Alrighty, we're not done just yet. We have some additional questions that were asked in the Helldivers 2 Discord. The next question sort of relates back to what we were talking about with the crash bugs. So if you've experienced a crash bug when exiting the game, then just know the developers are fully aware, because Shams spoke on it by saying that they're aware. However, it will not get fixed this time around. Instead, it'll get fixed at some point, considering it's less prioritized than a crash during gameplay. I suppose that makes sense, right? I mean, the crash only pops up when exiting the game, so that shouldn't affect anything. But if we're talking about stuff affecting players, let's talk about performance. There's a Helldiver who asked if there's any news on gamegaurd software. Shams replied to say that he has answered this question so many times, and the answer is that they see no evidence of gamegaurd affecting performance. Well, there you go, I guess. If you were wondering if gamegaurd affects anything, it supposedly does not. We also have another question that is basically the same. It's about whether Arrowhead CEO can speak on if the QA team runs Helldivers 2 with a DRM or anti-cheat. Shams answered by saying that when they test stuff out, they can either choose the dev binaries or the release. They test both. He went on to say that the anti-cheat is active and it's tested often. Then he again doubled down that it's not the source of the problem. So apparently gamegaurd doesn't affect anything. I don't know. I've heard of like DRM and anti-cheats in the past affecting games' performance, but I don't know. I couldn't tell you about this. Okay, we're now going to cover a post from Baskinator. She responded to a post right here where this player wanted to know why the communication is so infrequent as of late. Baskinator said this in response: "We have a bunch of plans from our team about blogs, live streams, video content. I know that the community and social teams really want to do more. Just this week, I pitched a blog series idea that I hope will get the go-ahead. It's nothing that would help right now, but I want to be able to do community updates again, where we share people's fan art and cosplays and stuff." Well, that right there is phenomenal to hear, you know, that the social teams and community want to do more, you know, by interacting with us and telling us what's going on with the game. However, the last part, I'm not too sure if I'm a big fan of. I like the idea behind it. You know, hey, let's, you know, celebrate those that created something really cool or have like a cool cosplay, right? Let's give them the acknowledgement, right? I think that's awesome. But I think for right now, we need to hear more about the video game and what's going on and the future of Helldivers 2 instead of like all the stuff, you know, about cosplays. But I think it's a great idea. So lastly, what we have here is another question slash statement, essentially. This Helldiver basically said, hey, you guys need to find a better way to communicate with the devs and explain how bad the situation is. Then Baskinator responded back by saying, we definitely communicated. We compile big reports every single week that includes charts, graphs, stats on sentiment. We link to threads, we show off comments, and we give all the survey data. We also have a second check-in at the end of our week with the entire team. So yeah, so they do communicate with the developers. They do give the feedback on how players are feeling. Maybe it's a communication problem with everyone else. I don't know if that's the issue. I couldn't tell you. I mean, it seems like they're doing a great job now because, well, everyone's been complaining, rightfully so, that the game is in a bad state. And maybe that's why they're listening to everybody more. I don't know. Let me know what you think about this. Moving along, we're going to check out the Helldivers 2 Steam reviews because, man, it's a little bad here because for some reason the reviews were hit pretty hard recently. We can see that there's 500 negative reviews. Before it was like 200, then it went to 400, then it stopped at 500. and you can tell that there are some more reviews coming in. Potentially players are switching their reviews around to basically review bomb Helldivers 2 in hopes, I'm assuming, to get the developers to respond back properly. I don't know. I mean, we know that they're working on some things, and I'm skeptical about the patch as well, but I can't give it a negative review or have anything negative to say about it until I actually get to test the patch out. But I am skeptical about it. Anyways, I'd like to know, what are your thoughts about this? Do you think the review bombs are justified or not? If you can, leave a response below. Lastly, we're now going to go over the top 3 comments, but before we do that, I just want to showcase everyone that comment below my question, and I ask, hey, what are your thoughts? Are you leaving or are you staying? There are some that said, hey, I'm leaving. Some said I'm leaving temporarily. I'm leaving until the issues are resolved, and so on forth, right? I appreciate everyone that responded. If you respond again, I'll feature your comments in the next video. I'll have a question, and be sure to answer it below. Anyways, the top 3 comments are right here. We have the first comment by Lord Beerus 462. The second top comment is by Tom Gross 3733. And the third and final top comment is by Shale 45UAQ. Interesting name. And yeah, those are the top 3 comments. If you found today's video helpful or informative, be sure to tap the thumbs up button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and make sure to give it a tap on the hype button. However, I mean, I poorly did this whole ending. Anyways, I'm tired. I'm going to go to bed. But thank you all for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.